Education and experience.
Yes, education and experience. Those are two. Anything else? Especially if you're applying for an internship with no experience, you all don't have any work experience. This is your first internship job that you're applying for. So education, yes. Along with education, what would you mention in the CV?
Skills and certifications.
Yes, skills and certifications. There's another important thing that you all do during your coursework as a module or as part of certain modules that you all do in your curriculum. So what's that? How about projects? Projects is one thing that you all have to mention if you all are undergraduates seeking for an internship. So you all may have not done an internship before. This may be your first internship, right? So you're applying for your first intern job. So you need to mention your education. When I say education, what I'm referring to is what degree you're currently following. You could also mention your O-level and A-level qualifications. That's fine. So which degree, and followed by the projects, because when you apply for an intern job is at least during the third year of your graduate studies, right? If you are following a 4-year degree, then you'll possibly apply for an intern job during your third year as part of the coursework that you all do. It's a requirement in your degree that you all need to complete an internship, right? So you need to mention your projects, because from the projects is how we understand what you all had done, because we cannot gauge you with experience because you all don't have work experience. So what we can look at is the projects that you all have done. Could be an individual project or a group project. So education, projects. For graduates, if you all have previously completed an internship, you all can mention that particular internship under work experience. So that comes under work experience for graduates who have completed an internship. So that's that. And when you mention work experience, you all have to mention the measurable impact. So you all don't copy paste the intern JD that was given to you all by that particular company into your CV when you are applying for your next job. So it has to showcase your measurable impact, what you had done during your internship, which is also quantifiable and measurable. What value you added, what actual value you added, and the keywords. So again, I'll show examples of keywords, measurable impacts, projects and experience. I think, projects and education you all are familiar with. I'll come to keywords and measurable impact a little later. So the structure of a CV matters. The structure creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Only when something is clear, you would be confident enough to even show it to somebody and speak about it to somebody. Right, so that's about the CV structure. Let's move on to formatting. So how you need to format your CV for an ATS. So there is an ATS-friendly checklist and what to avoid. So formatting can silently disqualify you. So you have to keep in mind that you should not over format, because I think there are people who think that if your document is overly formatted, it will create a very good first impression and then the CV will get shortlisted. That's not true. Overly formatting can silently disqualify you. So there are a few things that you need to keep in mind that are ATS friendly, and there are things that are ATS non-friendly as well. So use standard headings for work experience, education, skills. So suppose under work experience, you're saying that you worked as a marketing intern. So your title would go as marketing intern. Instead of marketing intern, you're saying marketing ninja. So does that look professional? So that's not standard, right? So make sure you use standard headings, standard subheadings. Avoid tables, because tables are actually tables don't go through ATSs. They're not being captured. So avoid tables, avoid text boxes, avoid graphics. So everything needs to be in bullet points. So according to what you all see here on the screen, ATS friendly checklist would include standard headings, experience, education, skills, bullet points with action verbs and measurable outcomes, plain fonts, consistent dates. Please use plain fonts and consistent dates. Again, I have seen a lot of CVs with inconsistent dates because if they use the month and the year under education, they forget to use the same format under work experience. They use something else. Either they mention the date, month, and the year under work experience. So that's not consistent. You have to be consistent. Include role specific keywords from the job description. So you apply for a job by seeing a published advert somewhere, right? So in that published advert there would be a job description. So how you capture the keywords is by not imagining anything that you want, but by referring to that job description that's being published for that particular job. You highlight the keywords, keywords in the sense what, for instance, again, from a marketing job description, what specifics are they looking at from a marketing intern in that job. So those keywords needs to be mentioned in your CV as well, because they will be captured by the ATS. Just because they are in the job description, it will eventually get extracted or highlighted and captured from your CV as well. So that's how you extract keywords from a published job advert or a job description and include it into your CV. So what to avoid? So that's another important thing. Tables. I told you all, avoid tables, text boxes, images or icons that break parsing. No images, no icons, except for your professional photo. There shouldn't be any other images. Unusual headings. For instance, instead of professional summary, you say my stories, which doesn't make sense and doesn't look professional. So, or decorative symbols. Don't use decorative symbols as if you're posting something on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. Just keep it simple. Overly complex layout that confuse ATSs. So there are certain CV generating tools. So those tools would have overly complex templates. So don't use overly complex templates. If you're using a CV generating tool, a free CV generating tool, make sure to go for the simplest template there is. So then that's easy. More than you typing your CV in a Word document, we always better to go for a template, a proper template. But when you select the template from any of these CV generating tools, make sure that it fits your profile, fits what you have to enter into that template. So just go for the simplest there is. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. So now we are going to look at an example and you are going to spot the ATS issues in the example I'm about to show you. So this is the example of part of a CV, not the entire CV. So you see professional journey, the email address, contact number, and then there's a table with role, organization, duration, and then there's 2 bullet points saying designed cool posts, helped with campaigns. Okay. Now I want you all to unmute your mics and tell me what the issues are in this specific part of the CV. This is example 1. What looks wrong here?
It's in the headline,
Yes. Which headline are you referring to?
the job headline.
Yes, professional journey, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's one. Okay. Anything else? Can somebody else unmute your mic and tell me what else is wrong here? There are a few things that this candidate should have avoided when preparing the CV. One is the heading, which is professional journey. Out of the things that I told you all to avoid in my previous slide, what can you all observe or see here or identify? Other than the professional journey or the heading?
The table should have been avoided.
Correct. The table format should have been avoided. What else? What about the role? What does it say? the role says marketing ninja, right? So is that agreeable? Is that something that we need to include in the CV? Is that a professional term rather? No.
No.
So marketing ninja is one. Okay, what's the other one? There's one more.
And the duration.
Yes, duration states only a year. That is also incorrect. And then there is another important one.
Icons are there for phone and
Yes, there
email.
are icons. And another one. How about the last two bullet points?
They are not specific
Correct.
and
They're not
kind of
specific.
unwanted.
Yes, unwanted. So, as a marketing ninja or a marketing person, what he or she has mentioned is that they had done cool posts or rather designed cool posts and helped with campaigns. So, are they measurable? Can you see any results here? What did I say that needs to be mentioned in a CV? Not merely the job description, but achievements that are measurable, quantifiable, and that has value. So when somebody says design cool posts, does that make sense? Or does it even help for an ATS or a recruiter to shortlist the CV? No, right? I mean, somebody looking at this would straight away reject the CV or not shortlist it. So help with campaigns and design cool posts wouldn't help. So there's professional journey heading, which is wrong. There's icons. You can include icons, but maybe not colorful icons. Just keep it simple, black and white. And then there's a table format, which is not encouraged for an ATS. And then there's marketing ninja, which is very casual and doesn't make sense. And then there's no measurable results. And again, the duration doesn't actually indicate a duration, it's merely a year. So if the ATS can't read it, it doesn't exist. If the ATS is unable to read this, it will not come through to the recruiter. It will get rejected by the ATS itself. So these are few, sort of errors that candidates do. Now let's look at the next example. Or before that, let me once again walk you through why the previous example fails. Non-standard heading, professional journey instead of work experience, table format, many ATS systems struggle to pass tables, informal job title, marketing ninja instead of marketing intern or marketing executive or whatever, no measurable results, and vague bullet points. So the previous bullet points were very vague. Design cool posts and helped with campaigns doesn't actually add value to the marketing role. So that's why the previous example failed. Now, this is the next example. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Do you spot any issues here as well? Or is this all right? Does it look all right to you? How do you see it? Anyone?
I think the last 2 points should not be included, like
Should
created
not be
and also
included.
yeah.
Okay. The rest, does the rest look okay?
I think so.
Right. So let me move on to tell you if there's any issues here or if this is completely all right. So this is an example that works. I'll come to the last two bullet points to explain why they're okay and why they're right. Right. So as opposed to the previous work experience of the marketing ninja, the work experience that this marketing intern had mentioned are all measurable. Do you know why? Now look at assisted in planning and executing 3 digital marketing campaigns. So is this intern being specific or no? So they're saying assisted in planning and executing 3 digital marketing campaigns. Is that specific or no? It is specific, right? So If it was a previous candidate, they would have merely written this as assisted in planning and executing digital marketing campaigns. So how many? There has to be a target. So this is measurable. There's 3 that's mentioned. Created weekly social media content calendar. So that has happened weekly. Created weekly social media content calendars as opposed to the previous candidate or the example. So they've just mentioned saying helped with campaigns, design cool posts. So as opposed to that, when you compare that with this is measurable. Created weekly social media content calendar. And lastly, increased Instagram engagement by 28% within 2 months. Is this measurable or no? Is this an achievement or no? Do you see this as an achievement? Because the engagement has increased by 28% within 2 months. So it is an achievement, right? It's not vague. Do you see that? And obviously the heading is perfect. It says work experience. The job title is perfect. It says marketing intern. The company name is properly written and the duration is properly written, followed by 3 bullet points of work experience, which is not vague but measurable, or what the marketing intern had achieved during this period. So let's see why that example works again. Like I said, standard heading, which is work experience, clear job title, no tables or graphs, everything was in bullet point and was very clear. Quantified results, that's the word, quantified. It's always measurable, quantifiable, and achievable. So there's numbers. So that's how you should write your CV under work experience. Quantified results, keywords, digital marketing, campaigns, engagement. So those are the keywords. So for a marketer or a marketing intern or a person engaged in a marketing role, so the keywords would be digital marketing, campaigns, engagement. So they are extracted probably from the job description or the advert and mentioned in the CV. So what's extracted from the JD or the job advertisement has been mentioned in the CV as well. So that quickly gets captured by the ATS. So this is a good example of a CV that you could possibly create to be reviewed by an ATS. So this will go through. The previous one will not. It will get rejected. So that one line here, the final increased Instagram engagement by 28% within 2 months, that one line is stronger than 5 vague bullet points. When I say vague, you understand, right? So these 2 are vague. Design cool posts, help with campaigns. I'm just reiterating on the same thing so that y'all don't make the same mistake when y'all prepare your CV in the future, right? Okay, so this is why the example worked. Let's move on to something that's really important. Right. So this is, I think, the most important framework that you could grasp from this session. So this is the STAR framework, STAR, situation, task, action, result. So situation is the context. You could use this method. Rather the STAR method converts vague duties into concrete achievements. So if you are to build concrete, measurable, quantifiable, achievable achievements under work experience, this is the framework that you need to follow. This will help you improve, like in the initial stages. Once you get a hang of it, yes, you all can let go of the STAR framework, and then with your own sort of knowledge, you all can continue to write the work experience. But initially, if you all don't know what to write, then you all can follow the STAR framework. So first S is for situation, the context. Where were you? When was this? What was happening? So for an example, during my internship at XYZ company, or in my final year university project, or while volunteering at a community event. So that's the place. Where were you? When the company was launching a new product. So situation is always where or when, context or problem. So that is situation. So this sets the scene, but keep it brief. Recruiters don't need a story, they need clarity. They don't need a story like I mentioned very initially. There's no story that's required. It's always clarity that's required. So situation should be short, one phrase, not 3 sentences. I'll come to an example a little later. Let's just walk through what these 4 letters mean. So situation is again where and when. Keep it short. This sets the scene. Keep it short. Moving on to task. T is for task. Task is your responsibility. What were you expected to do? Your responsibility or goal. So examples include increase social media engagement. So that's the goal. That's the responsibility. Improve customer satisfaction. That's the goal again. Reduce inventory errors. If it's for a finance intern or a finance executive or someone from finance, reduce inventory errors. Or for an HR operations person, organize an event. So that is your job responsibility, the task or the goal. Task is not what you did, it is what you are responsible for. You can do anything. You can do a lot of things in your job. But this is not what you do or what you did. This is what you are responsible for. This is your goal or your responsibility in your job. So that is task. So now we already know 2 things, situation, task. Next is action. A is for action, which is what you did. This is the most important part. What you did. Tools used or approach. So not we, not the team, not vague descriptions, but what you did. So you cannot include what you did as a team, right? Or not what we did. It cannot include any other members of your organization or company. Not vague descriptions like the wrong example I showed you earlier, they were vague. You cannot mention we or the team or vague descriptions. What you must show is tools used, approach taken, initiative demonstrated. For example, designed a content calendar. Do you remember example 2? What that marketing intern did? Designed a content calendar. So that was a weekly content calendar. So this is what you actually did. Conducted customer feedback surveys, analyzed Excel data to identify trends, implemented a new filing system. So this is an action, right? This is where your skill becomes visible. This is your skill. Earlier was the responsibility. So don't mistake task with action. Task is different. Task was your responsibility or goal. Action is what you did, right? Again, what you did relevant to your job role, and what you did, not what your team or anybody else, or not vague descriptions. So that is action. Finally, result. STAR, R for result. So this is what most candidates forget. The result is the measurable outcome. So you need to mention what you achieved at the end of the day. Example, increased engagement by 35%. Like the previous candidate, the example 2, what we looked at in example 2, Instagram engagement increased by 28%. So that is a result, an achievement. Reduced errors by 20%. Improved satisfaction ratings by 15%. Saved 10 hours per week. So those are all results. So do you notice something? Do you notice something here? In the examples that I just mentioned, increased engagement by 35%, reduced errors by 20%, improved satisfaction ratings by 15%, saved 10 hours per week. You see something common in all these 4 examples that I just told you all. What is common? There are 4 different results, but did you notice something common? Anyone?
Some contributions.
Yeah, contributions in numeric format, in numbers. I said 35%, 20%, 15%, 10 hours per week. So these are all numbers, right? So every strong result includes a number. So that is measurable, quantifiable. So a result has to be measured, should be able to be measured. That number is what makes it powerful. So by the number is when you know that this person had actually done something. So it makes it powerful. So recruiters don't hire effort, they hire impact. Recruitment, human resource management, everything has evolved since the 2000s. It's not the same now. We don't really go for effort. We don't really look for hardworking employees nowadays. We look for people or employees or candidates who could work smart. We're not after hardworking candidates or resources to be employed in a company. So recruiters don't hire effort, they hire impact. We need people who could make an impact, add a value to what they do to the organization as a whole. So is the STAR method clear? Is the STAR method clear? Rather, the framework, is it clear before we move on to the example?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so let's look at the example that's there on the screen itself. So the example says, led a social media campaign. So that's the situation where when led a social media campaign to increase engagement, that is a task. You can see in the same example I had put, which which term it represents. Led a social media campaign, which is the situation. To increase engagement is a task. Your responsibility or goal is to increase engagement. In order to increase engagement, what did you do? Or what did this candidate do? Created a weekly content calendar and A/B tested posts. So that is the action. In order to achieve the goal, the action is created a weekly content calendar and A/B tested posts. That is action. Boosted followers by 35% and engagement by 22% in 3 months. So that's the result. By this action, what was the outcome or what was the result? As a result of this action, what had happened? Boosted followers by 35% and engagement by 22% in 3 months. So is this the correct way of including your work experience? When you compare this and the job description, which is the right way? By including what can the recruiter decide whether to shortlist the candidate or no? How can the recruiter understand whether this resource or candidate would be impactful to the role that they have open in their company? If you merely mention the job description, would that make an impact? No, right? So, which is why we encourage everyone to use impactful or result-oriented, quantifiable, measurable achievements under work experience. Now, are you aware how to write your work experience? Has anyone tried this before? Did anyone know this framework before? Or did anyone know that you needed to include achievements under work experience rather than just listing down the job description or job responsibilities? Did anyone know before? No one? Nobody knew? Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah, miss.
Okay. Let's see if y'all had learned something from what I explained, because now is your time. I'll give y'all maybe 5 minutes. What y'all need to do is think of an internship, a group project, a part-time job, a volunteer work, or university assignment. Choose one achievement. Choose one. Don't complicate, or don't even overthink. Just pick one achievement, a single achievement or responsibility with a measurable result. Draft the STAR. So write a single sentence that includes STAR. and then let's discuss. I'll give you all 5 minutes from now. I think it's 8:48 now. Can you all do that? And I'll ask a few of you all to tell me what you all wrote under each letter. Start now, please. So it has to be one achievement, not your entire role. You all can follow the previous example. I've switched to the previous slide. You all can look at the framework or even the example and then create your own star sentence. Shall we make it 3 minutes? I think 5 is too much for this exercise. I'll call you all out in 3 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes has passed. Can someone tell me what you all wrote? Can one or two volunteer unmute your mics and tell me what you've been able to write? I'm just trying to understand if you all got the grasp of this framework. Don't worry, we are learning, so we can make mistakes and all of us can contribute to correct the mistakes. So there's nothing to worry. Y'all can unmute and then share one or two examples that you all have written. At least one person? Someone? Rishad? Lagdino? Aflan? Just one example? We got few more slides before we close, so can we make it quick and share at least one example? Yes,
For an
very
open
good.
source project, I will. For an open source project, we had to improve a website for movie booking, and I was tasked with making the admin panel user-friendly, so I used um, Bootstrap models to make the navigation more accessible, and it resulted in a more user-friendly um, user-friendly web page, whereas before it didn't have any CSS styling or Bootstrap models.
Okay. Right. But how do you measure it? What was the improvement or the satisfaction rate was, how do you compare it from before to after? What is the measurement? If you all don't know an accurate figure, you all can always you all can
It was 10%. No,
yes, 10%. Right. So if you don't know the exact numbers, you all can estimate responsibly, right? So for instance, if you all don't know, even if it's 10%, if you're not sure if it's accurately 10%, you can say improved approximately by 10% over the past 2 months or 1 month. How long have you taken for that improvement from the previous scenario? If it's 1 month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you all can say improved by 10% over the past 2 weeks. So that's a good example. Anyone else? You can make it a bit shorter, not that lengthy. If you can maybe put it into one sentence, rather than explaining everything, it would sound much better. So that was a good job. Thank you. Anyone else? If there's no one else, we can move on because I think it's almost 9. We got a few more slides before we wrap up. So the STAR framework is clear, right? You all need to practice. You all need to, those of you who did not want to unmute and
So I wrote it.
say,
Send it in the chat.
yes, yes. Is in the chat. Let me stop presenting. Okay. As a content writer, I was responsible for organizations' outreach and produced content to boost blog engagement by 40%. This is nice. This is a good example. Anyone else? Produce content. Yeah, this is a good example. Okay, I'm sharing the screen again. So those were two good examples, except the first, if you can make it a bit shorter. The second one was measurable as well. So a good representation of the STAR framework. Let's quickly move on to the next slide after the activity. So let's move on to common mistakes that a candidate could possibly do. Right. So the very common mistakes would be typos and grammatical errors. Always proofread and use two reviewers. I mean, y'all have ample tools now to check for your spelling errors, your grammatical errors. Please make use of those tools to proofread and make sure what you have included in the CV is right. Generic statements without measurable results, replace duties with outcomes. That's what we just learned. We're not gonna include generic statements going forward. It'll always be measurable. Whatever you mention under work experience will always be measurable, results oriented, and achievable. So your duties will be replaced with outcomes. Overcrowded layout, please avoid overcrowded layout. Always keep a gap. Give breathing room and consistent spacing. So it's up to you to follow a consistent font with consistent spacing. So those are basic formatting, but keep it simple. Buzzwords without context. Explain how you demonstrated the skill. So again, generic, keep it generic, no keywords. Sorry, typos, generic statements, overcrowding, buzzwords. So these are the things that you need to avoid. So let's quickly move into the next to see if you can identify any mistakes. Okay. Again, an example of part of the CV, there is professional summary, work experience. If you can spot the mistakes here, can you spot the mistakes? What is wrong with this professional summary?
The word hardworking is what?
Yes, I am hardworking. That's incorrect. What else? Under work experience, the title looks okay. The company name looks okay. There's no duration, so that's a miss. What about the three bullet points? Are they measurable, or are they, generic?
They are not measurable.
Yes, they are generic duties from a job description, but they're not measurable. So no keywords, no measurable impact, weak verbs, no dates, and whatever mentioned is generic. It says, I'm a hardworking, dynamic, self-motivated individual seeking a challenging position in a reputed organization where I can utilize my skills and grow professionally. So hardworking doesn't look or sound professional at all. So this needs to be rephrased. So those are the mistakes that we have spotted. So you need to avoid typos, generic statements, overcrowding, buzzwords, avoid generic statements under work experience as well. So now let's look at again what's wrong. Generic summary, no role specific focus or keywords, no measurable results, weak action verbs, no time period mentioned, no achievements or impact. So we already discussed that. Now let's look at an improved version of the same example. So look at this professional summary. Customer focused business management graduate with 1 year of retail experience, skilled in conflict resolution, POS systems, and customer retention strategy. So as opposed to the previous example, what do you think about this professional summary? It's very concise, relevant, business jargon, or rather professional wording, professional terms, very specific. It's not generic, right? Moving into work experience. You can see the title, you can see the company name, and the job duration from January 2023 to December 2023. It has to be 2024. So there's a mistake in that, or rather 2023, 12 months. Now look at the work experience. Managed cashier operations handling 100 plus transactions daily. So 100 plus transactions, that's quantifiable. Resolved customer complaints, improving satisfaction ratings by 15%. So there is the STAR method. This achievement is measurable. There is a result. Assisted in inventory tracking, reduced stock discrepancies by 10%. So that's also result oriented. That's measurable. So this is an improved version of the same example that I showed earlier. So look at this and look at this, how improved it is. What changed between version 1 and version 2 was specificity. I told you the professional summary is very specific. Measurable impact under work experience. Strong action verbs. They are all professional action verbs. Clear formatting. This is very clear, very nice, simple. Keyword alignment. There's keywords such as, say, conflict resolution, customer retention strategies, what else? Cashier operations, customer complaints, inventory tracking. Those are keywords usually mentioned in a job description in a published advertisement. So that's what they expect from candidates for that specific